Ryan Hartman, followed by Carlos Naranjo. Naranjo and Naranjo, okay, so this is R.R.B., sorry.
Ryan Hartman, 701 South F. I don't have much to say. I've been coming here for a while, and I've seen you all at other things as well. And I hear the majority of the commission brag about homelessness events that they're putting on. And I see the mayor crying during these meetings because she just doesn't want to hurt homeless people.
Wait a minute.
And then I see her outside because she doesn't want to hurt homeless people. And I think that was genuine. When I looked into your eyes and I saw that, I thought that was genuine. And I hear Commissioner Amoroso lying about helping get someone off the street when I've heard from a dozen people that that's not.
Direct it towards me, please. Direct it towards me. Thank you. I get to be the whip post for you, please.
I was talking about him also.
Right. Direct it towards me. Thank you. Quiet in the chambers, please.
You also said, while we spoke outside during the last meeting, that you were trying to pass a moratorium, so there can be some thought that went into this resolution before it was passed. What happened with that? And as many people have said, and bears repeating, crime is crime. When someone shoots up heroin or smokes crack or does all the other crazy things you're talking about, that's already a crime. I don't know if you do that or not. When someone pees on someone's workplace, that's already a crime. So making hours on parks doesn't prevent that from happening. Bryant Park already has hours. It's had hours for as long as it's been a park. And that stuff still happens in Bryant Park. If somebody could explain to me how putting hours on the Cultural Plaza is going to clean up Bryant Park, I'd love to hear it. And people can say this is just a threat, but it's a fact that when you have a group of people who only have one place where they can go, and you close that place to them, they do go other places. And when they're not allowed in any public places, it's only natural that they're going to go to neighborhoods. And it's not a scare tactic, it's reality.
Written in asking if we consider doing coverage or episodes on anarchism in smaller towns. While many radicals tend to concentrate in urban metropolitan areas, there are lots and lots of us who aren't in Oakland or Montreal or Barcelona who still want to be active and create cultures of resistance in the less glamorous places where we live. So we've been keeping an eye out for opportunities to profile anarchist organizing in smaller places, a bit off the map of the most populous nexuses of anarchist activity. A few months ago, the ex-worker found ourselves in Lake Worth, Florida, a town of about 35,000 people on the east coast of southern Florida. It's a fascinating place. Despite the small size, it has a flourishing radical culture with a variety of different ongoing projects. It's about 60 or 70 miles north of Miami, so there is a nearby metropolitan area that shapes the culture and demographics. But it also has several features that'll be familiar to small-town anarchists. It's also a strikingly diverse place. There are several large immigrant communities in the area, including folks from Guatemala, Haiti, Cuba, Honduras, and Finland, plus older white retirees, a substantial black community, and various other kinds of folks. And for such a small town, the anarchists of Lake Worth have a very high profile. So high, in fact, they seem to get credit for quite a lot of things. After a recent local election, a defeated incumbent politician was quoted as saying, "I still believe the city has the momentum that a small anarchist group will not succeed in taking over the city with their lies and tactics." Eh? Meanwhile, a popular local right-wing blogger obsessively rants about local anarchists, mentioning some by name over and over. While newspaper columnists claim that local Earth Firsters are attempting to destroy everything that decent people hold dear. Who are these Lake Worth anarchists, so reviled and anxiously discussed by local developers and right-wing politicos? What are they up to, and how have they managed to make such a name for themselves? One afternoon, at a warehouse called The Outspoken, which houses the Community Bicycle Project and the South Florida Prison Books Project, Alana sat down with a crew of Lake Worth anarchists to learn about the distinctive radical community there. We started off discussing the environmental resistance efforts of Everglades Earth First and the Earth First Journal, which relocated to Lake Worth several years ago. Folks contributed their experiences with the Books to Prisoners Project, a now closed info shop, the local history of the global justice movement, immigrant solidarity organizing, and the publication Prison Legal News. And we even got to hear from an anarchist elected official who served 2 terms in public office. Even if you've never been down to South Florida, I think you'll find something fascinating in these discussions about the many different kinds of organizing against authority and domination that a lively crew of anarchists have experimented with in the specific context of one small town.
Quiero que me estreche, pues ya nos hemos unido, pasando por...
So one of the active radical projects around here is the Everglades Earth First. Can you talk a little bit about how that got started and what kinds of things y'all have worked on over the years?
Yeah, my name is Panayoti, and I've been involved with the Everglades Earth First project since it started up around 2006 and maybe 2005. And while it began specifically in response to the Scripps proposal that came on the table in 2004, it also, I think, got momentum built from the FTAA protests, where a lot of people came from all over the country, and that era of the anti-globalization summit hopping saw a lot of Earth First activists making the rounds and bringing the Earth First tools of the trade, SARS blockades and affinity group style organizing, into that movement. And I think that we also used some of that momentum to get the Everglades Earth First group off the ground at that time. And the Scripps project seemed like it made sense to fight because it was, I think, one of the most explicit examples of, venture capitalist development goals revolving around biotechnology and also the clearing of large amounts of local forests and wetlands. So we jumped in on that and tried to make those connections between the broader impact and the local threats. And so I think that's where Everglades Earth First got its start. And then soon after, when I started targeting Florida Power and Light, some of the biggest power companies in the country that's home based here.
And what kinds of campaigns is Everglades Earth First working on these days?
My name is Onion. Right now the main campaign is there's a forest about 20 miles north of Lake Worth, which is one of the last unprotected forests in the area, and Scripps, along with the Coulter Group and a number of other places, are trying to clear cut it and build a biotech facility where they're going to be testing on animals, along with a mini mall, condos and houses. And so we're just trying to work both through the legal system and through protests, and there's been a couple of direct actions. There was a tree sit a few years ago, and then a blockade done about 2 or 3 months ago. Just trying to stop them from doing that, trying to get the community involved and figure out how to save the forest and the gopher tortoises and eastern indigo snakes and other animals that may be still living in that forest.
I think that maybe it's obvious, but that's an extension of the project that the Everglades Earth First group started with in 2004, 2005. The original proposal was sunk by a relationship of direct actions and environmental lawsuits, and it resurfaced in 2009. And so, although it's largely a new group of people working on it, it's the same project that they're calling Phase 2 of the Scripps Biotech plan. And so there's been some continuity there. I think 10 years of fighting and mostly and winning against Scripps. They actually laid concrete in their first proposal before the project got canceled, and then now they're starting to bulldoze for the roads in this Phase 2 project. But we're remaining hopeful that we can stop it. We don't think it's a done deal until it's over. So.
Is there anything that you think listeners outside of Florida should be paying attention to in terms of local ecological struggles or ways that folks can show solidarity with your efforts here?
Scripps also has a campus in La Jolla, California, so pressure can be put on them there. It's a beautiful time to come to Florida. It's winter time everywhere else, but it's in the 70s and sunny every day here, so anybody who wants to come down here and give us a hand would be greatly appreciated.
Can you talk a little bit about the history of the journal and the role that it's played in ecological struggles over the years and how it ended up here in South Florida?
Yeah, the journal's been publishing this year, it's its 35th year, and initially it started as a way to push the environmental movement further along strategically, and it was a time when corporate interests were realizing that it was strategic to get their representation on the boards of nonprofits and basically start co-opting the environmental movement, which has, I think been happening for the past 30 some years. And so our first history has kind of paralleled that. We still see that happening today, and I think especially with the climate movement and a lot of the efforts to co-opt organizing around environmental issues. So I think our first has been a part of that. It came to Florida in 2010 as a result, I think, of sort of a lull in their first movement in the mid-2000s, and it had been in Arizona for a while, and we were looking at trying to give some new energy to the journal and to the movement as a whole, but bringing it to this place that we thought could bring new dynamics. The first time it had been on the East Coast, the first time it would be somewhere this far from the West Coast, this far from the culture that it was birthed out of, which was largely like the big wilderness kind of scene. So it was more of an urban reality in South Florida. While we do still have the Everglades, which is a pretty massive wild area, we also have the dynamics of being in the middle of an international community of people who spend a lot of time throughout the hemisphere in Caribbean and Central and South America. So immigrant communities and solidarity organizing that happens. So we were hoping to build off some of that, which was started in Arizona, being so close to the border.
Can you talk a little bit about the role that the journal plays now in ecological struggles, including both specifically anarchist direct action approaches, but also the broader environmental movement?
For me, in the direct action community, it's a way of telling stories. It's not covered a lot in mainstream media, and when it is, it's just very brief, and it's from the mainstream point of view. And just reading the journal myself before I got here showed me that there are people fighting all the time. There's constantly actions going on. People are constantly putting their bodies on the line because they care about the environment, they care about the animals. And it's even a way of people who are more involved in the legal battles or signing petitions or something like that to see that there is another way, that they've signed petitions for years and nothing's ever really gotten done, and they wish there was something else they could do, and they pick up an Earth First journal and they see that there is something else they can do, and maybe they get involved through doing that.
I know that in the era of the internet, it's difficult to keep a print publication going. I know that the Earth First Journal Newswire is one of the major sources that we use here on the podcast for news about ecological resistance. Can you talk a little bit about the Newswire and the website and how you see those as relating to the print publication?
I think the Newswire is it's a lot easier than printing a journal, than raising money and getting articles submitted and editing and figuring out how to print it and distribute it. We go online and we write something or we find something somewhere else and repost it. You can access it from your phone or from a computer anywhere. Something happens right now and 30 minutes later it could be on the internet for the world to see. But I think the journal still has a place too, because to me there's something romantic about seeing words on a piece of paper and being able to carry it around. And there are people who don't have access to the internet because either they can't afford it, or they're traveling, or they're in prison. I think a lot of what we do is for prisoners because they can't access the internet. And there's just something really cool about seeing a glossy picture of somebody with a slingshot in their back pocket overlooking a slash pile. It really gets me going more than turning on a computer.
Lloro yo y también tú lo haces.